I'm Kelly McCormack. I am a filmmaker, a performer, a writer, director, and I guess a scholar at this point after coming back to school. I normally make films, and I come from theater, experimental theater, and classical theater, and yeah, I decided to do something like completely nuts, which was go back to grad school at Oxford, and this is sort of a sojourn or a result of that, a moment from that experience. So this is my exhibition. It's called Robes and Latin, or How to Get Kicked Out. It came about because I was working on a film and really wrestling with this question, which is, how do men discuss rape when they're alone with themselves? There's been a lot of critical scholarship on locker room talk, or online red pill philosophy, sort of homosocial behavior, where men are discussing sexual violence. But I was really looking for discussions between men where they talk about rape as a problem, as a phenomenon, and the major critical question, which for me was why men rape. So I was having a weird year, and I decided to answer this question, I would apply to one school and one program, which was Oxford, and the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies master's program here, which I'd heard phenomenal things about. And I thought, I'm going to study boys clubs and homosocial behavior, so I thought it made sense to go to the mothership, or Death Star, or ground zero of the most iconic gentlemen's club, boys club of all time, and not just one physically and materially, but one that is sort of replicated through scholarship and through thought. It's the sort of the place where the male as auteur, or the male as the shepherd of knowledge, has sort of began and continued and pulsated out. So I was like, well, if I get into Oxford, I'll go, and then if I don't, I won't. And I got in, and I came here, and I proposed this research question, and I came here, and started studying again, doing my master's. And through that process, a lot of my fellow students who are also studying really painful and intense topics of social justice, we continue to talk about methodology and knowledge production, and sort of the moral imperative, or the quandary of taking these really painful topics and shoving them into this authorial academic voice that has been normally dominated by men. So as I was going through school, I kept thinking that there was a lot that was coming out and coming up for me that I felt I wouldn't be able to express in my thesis. And so this exhibition was the result of that. It was sort of like the Gargoylean sort of explosion of what was coming out, and what studying this topic cost me, basically. So, I have my thesis in this glass box, and the rest of this is sort of like the splattered, disembodied, disemboweled, dismembered feelings and thoughts that come with studying this topic. I was noticing there's a cognitive dissonance between the historical use by male writers and playwrights and filmmakers to use rape as a metaphor, as a stylistic device, as a catalyst, and a sort of, so there's almost like a fixation on using it, and a complete disinterest in dramatizing it as a literalized thing that happens to an actual person, an actual woman. So that cognitive dissonance was, in my thesis, trying to understand and give structure to it. So this exhibition is really trying to capture that cognitive dissonance. And also I spent 9 months interviewing professors and academics, trying to find one text, one play, one film where two men discuss why men rape. And I haven't found it yet. So that has been that is sort of the very heady explanation of what this is, and the rest of the artwork is the body explanation in a way. So this is the very painful but familiar tableau, I think, to the world's cultural imaginary of the continued reproduction of showing sexual violence on camera. It's actually, this tableau a few months ago. It was about 4 a.m, and I just was like, if I'm gonna do this thesis, I have to produce this. And you can see actually on my desk, I drew pretty much exactly what I was thinking, and it makes me feel really good to know this was how I sat and sort of imagined it right to my left, and sort of here it is. So, of course, for anyone who is in film knows this is not necessarily what a film would look like, because none of the cords are plugged in, none of the diffusers make any sense. But I wanted it to feel kind of like this imposing reproduction on top of a reproduction on top of a reproduction, to signify how ubiquitous and how everyday this is. With sexual violence and rape on camera, you could have a film which dramatizes a female lead, but when she is typically being raped, they shoot from above to sort of turn the woman into the Bernini statue or to Lucretia, to give a shot of her body so that we may look at her and see that she instantly not just is being raped, but is being representative of something else, of the befilement of a nation, or the loss of virtue, or the assault of war. Rape is constantly, when it's dramatized by men, used for something else. So that's why the camera is shooting from above. We wanted the fabric to look very marbled, sort of. And again, you see the pink dress, which is a direct reference of this is what happens when you shroud female thought in pink. It's kind of like a literalized version of what rape culture is. And you don't need very much to signify there's been sexual violence. It's sort of like the expression of absence in a way. And this person who lives here is, kind of every woman and not a woman. You don't really, or that she's a woman, but you don't know what class she is, if she's rich, if she's poor, where she lives. And when I was sort of putting this together, I was threading a very difficult needle, because you don't want it to look like she's asking for it. But what does that mean? So it's like I can't make the room, the bed, over feminine. It can't be too pretty, or too rich, or too poor, or too no alcohol, no pills, and these constant things that I was realizing, and I was discussing with my collaborator who made the dress, is that it's we can't show any of these things, and the fact that we had to thread this really painful needle is telling in itself. And yeah, I wanted the cords to feel kind of like snakes, and again, it's a set, but it's as if the crew has kind of gone on lunch. And as a performer myself, I have walked onto many sets where you have to crawl through all these material objects, these C-stands, these diffusers, these lights, these things, and there's hundreds of people around, and because it becomes desensitized when it ends up on a camera or on a screen, I wanted to remind the viewer that these are physicalized objects, these are material things, and they are put here and placed here by hundreds of people making many different decisions. There's a production designer deciding how much blood there is. There's a lighting tech going, okay, well, how are we gonna light this so that her body looks like this, or is there shadow? And these scenes, these rape scenes, are often within the first 10 minutes of a film or a television show to serve as a catalyst for the male character to go on their rape revenge story, or to be a catalyst for drama on a CSI or something like that. And for all the grumblings about what exactly rape is, it sure makes you think, well, when they put it on camera, they know how to make it look like it's been rape within one frame. They know the semiotics of what rape looks like, and there's a crew of 100 people who know exactly how to show there wasn't just a murder here, she was also raped. There wasn't just someone sleeping here, there has been a horrible act of sexual violence. So again, it's cognitive dissonance, is how can we collectively not understand what rape is and yet be able to replicate it so surely and so continually and so efficiently all the time.